So let's look at the differences between the A code and the C code in the famous 289 used in the 64.5 through 67 and into 68 Mustangs. First of all, we've got a 2-barrel versus a 4-barrel engine. Here on the left we show the 2-barrel cast iron intake used on the C code. On the right, the 4-barrel cast iron intake used on the A code. The carburetors that sit on top of those manifolds are also slightly different. Obviously the 4-barrel has 2 extra barrels, but some of the specs of the carburetors themselves are just a little different. The Autolite is a fairly simple carburetor, very easy to work on, very easy to repair. The 2-barrel has the venturi at 1.145 inches in diameter. Now the venturi is the center section that the airflow goes through. That's not where the throttles are, but the right above that, and that's what determines your flow, your cubic feet per minute. So the 2-barrel has 300 cubic feet per minute, and the A code, the 4-barrel, has 480 CFM. And that's a slightly smaller diameter, 1.080, and it's the same on all 4 barrels. So it's the same front, or primaries and secondaries. The next difference, once you've got that gas going into the engine, is in the pistons themselves. The C code engine, the 2-barrel engine, has a dished piston. And that dished piston ends up lowering the compression ratio. Since there's more volume in that combustion chamber, it only gives you a 9.3 to 1 compression ratio, as opposed to the flat top piston used in the A code, which gives you a 10 to 1 compression ratio. Now the rest of the engine is the same. The camshaft, which I originally thought was different between the two, is the same. The block is the same. The crankshaft is the same. Heads are the same. Valve train is the same. So it is basically the same engine, and all you're doing is bolting on intake manifold and the carburetor, plus the different pistons. And then the exhaust system itself is different. So the C code has a single exhaust going out the right side, the 2 exhaust manifolds going into the downpipe, which merges and then goes back into one muffler and a resonator, and then out the right side of the car. The A code, the dual exhaust, has the 2 down tubes with a balance tube in between, and then your straight tubes going into your mufflers, and then over the rear axle, and then out the back. And then if you have the same dual exhaust system, whether it's a GT car with a trumpet exhaust, or a non-GT car which then has the downturned exhaust tips. Now, what does that result in? So the C code has 200 horsepower at 4,400 RPM. The A code, with that higher flow of gas, putting more gas into the engine with that 4-barrel, and with the dual exhaust, so you've got more in and out, gets us 225 horsepower at 4,800 RPM, running on premium gas, giving us a little bit extra kick. And then the notable difference, I think, is in the torque curve. So the C code has got 282 foot-pounds of torque at 2,400 RPM. The A code bumps that up to 305 foot-pounds, but at 3,200 RPM. So where your peak torque on the 2-barrel engine tops out at 2,400 RPM, your A code engine keeps pulling for another 800 RPM. So as you get offline and through that mid-range, you've got more pull, more torque, more acceleration up to that 3,200 RPM range, and then obviously beyond. So that's where you're going to see your bigger differences between the A code and the C code in daily driving. The C code burns regular gas with that 9.3 to 1 compression ratio. The A code burns premium gas with that 10 to 1 compression ratio. And really, that's all the difference there is. So we've got differences on the intake side, carburetor and manifold, the piston difference to give a little higher compression, and then the exhaust coming out 2 exhaust pipes instead of 1. So really all we're doing is pushing more fuel through the engine to give us that higher horsepower and higher torque. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.